The Dodgers lost the series. The Dodgers haven't made any trades. The Dodgers have seen some guys they were linked to get traded already. Is it time to panic? Not quite yet, but why not? Let's talk about it. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical drop and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. This is a daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can become an everydayer by listening or watching every day, which can be made easier by subscribing and being notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live like we are here on Sunday night. If this is your first time listening or watching, my name is Vince Samperio, joined by my co-host Jeff Snyder. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team for a decade in different capacities. One of those capacities being a podcast about the Dodgers that we call Locked On Dodgers, that we've been doing for the last 5+ years now. And in that time, we've talked a lot about the Dodgers. We've seen a lot of trade deadlines, and we've seen a lot of frustrating series, and we get to talk about all that again here on tonight's episode. So let's get right into it. The Dodgers lost the series to the Astros. They started 3 rookie pitchers, and every game can go different ways in different capacities, but it felt like the Dodgers were they were one bullpen implosion away from winning this series with 3 rookie starting pitchers and a starting lineup that didn't have Freddie Freeman or Max Muncy or Mookie Betts or Miguel Rojas or Chris Taylor or a lot of people that should have been there that haven't been there.
Yeah, I was going to say you kind of buried the league because the lineup was the big star. I mean, this is a lineup that if it was spring training, Major League Baseball would say, "Hey, you got to put more major leaguers in your split squad lineup." It's it was not like I counted, and there were at least 4 guys in the lineup on Saturday who I hope aren't on the postseason roster. Not just that they won't be starting games in the postseason, but basically the last 4 guys in the lineup, I'm hoping aren't on the postseason roster. And that lineup should have won the game. And you're not going to expect an RBI double and a home run from Gavin Biggio, but you got it, and I guess I did expect it because I did predict it in writing that Biggio would homer 6 hours beforehand, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. Getting the news at kind of the last minute that Freddie Freeman wasn't going to be available for the series changed the feeling of the series. And the fact that, yeah, like you said, they were one bullpen implosion away from winning the series against a very good Astros team, and specifically a very good hitting Astros team that got shut down basically by the rookies.
Yeah, I mean, the starting pitching wasn't really the issue. I mean, Gavin Stone had the worst start, and at least he went 6 innings for the Dodgers. Did give up the 4 runs, a couple home runs, but for that stadium, for that lineup, and Stone hasn't been quite as sharp as he has been earlier in the year. Not too much to complain about. The Dodgers offense just couldn't get it going. But then you get 6 runs from the offense on Saturday. You get 6 runs from the offense on Sunday, even with the Astros, and a good hitting lineup, and even with guys making their 4th and 2nd career starts or 5th and 2nd career starts, whatever it was for Wrobleski. Like you still expect to be in the game when you score 6 runs. And technically the Dodgers were in the game, but they were much further ahead of that game in Saturday's game. I guess we'll just go straight to the conversation for sure of the weekend, minus the deadline of the actual games. Is the Dodgers took out Justin Wrobleski in the 6th inning on Saturday, and then Evan Phillips gave up 4 straight hits, and the game never really got back in the Dodgers' hands after that. And then on Sunday, the Dodgers took out River Ryan in the 6th inning as well. And then the Dodgers never lost the lead, but the first pitch after River Ryan came out was a home run to put it into a 1-run game. Obviously, the decisions in hindsight don't look ideal. The decisions aren't just black and white, though. So.
Yeah, and it's anybody who's an everydayer here can probably guess the general tone of what I'm going to say. And I've been called a Dave Roberts apologist. I've been told that I cover for Dave Roberts. The fact is, we all have our pre-existing biases. And if you go into it thinking Dave Roberts is a terrible manager and he makes a move that doesn't work, you're going to see it as evidence that he's a terrible manager. I'm seeing comments like that in the chat right now. I do go into things with kind of the pre-existing bias of I think Dave Roberts is a pretty solid manager. And, my evidence for that being that he has the best winning percentage in baseball history, little things like that. And I know a 7th grader could manage this team, except, what we've seen from the Mets and the Padres and thousands of other high salary teams that it's not just good players. You got to have a manager. And so, I have my bias too, but both of these decisions, Saturday's decision falls into the category of I understand why he did it, because Evan Phillips has been struggling, and 5-run lead, you only need 1 out, but still kind of high leverage seems like a good opportunity to give Evan Phillips a chance to get back on it, and the fact is, as bad as Evan Phillips has been struggling the last few weeks, he hasn't been struggling to the tune of 4 straight hits. It's, this was his worst performance of the season. I don't think that Dave Roberts should have had to predict Evan Phillips will not only not be good, he will be the worst he's been. I just don't think that's a reasonable thing to guess. And the fact is, it's only the results that were the worst. You look at it, it's like a soft contact bloop single, a soft contact infield single, another soft contact bloop single. Yes, that's why we need Evan Phillips getting the swing and miss. And we talked about this going back to the Kenley Jansen days. If you don't get the swing and miss, you're going to get bit by soft contact sometimes. Sometimes it's Brett Phillips. Sometimes it's, whoever got those hit, Victor Caratini, but so yeah, Evan Phillips struggled. But if Evan Phillips comes in and gets an out, nobody's talking about that move. And it was a reasonable place. I'm not saying it was the right move. I think this is a case of there is no right or wrong, but I understand why Dave Roberts thought, Justin Wrobleski's probably at the end of his rope. He's given up 2 hits this inning. He just got away with the middle fastball to one of the best hitters in baseball, Yordan Alvarez. Let's not press our luck with him. This is a good time to try to get Evan Phillips right. On Sunday, I am in the camp of 1,000% absolutely the right decision. River Ryan has never thrown more than 75 pitches in a game in his career. He threw 91. And I assume, and Dave Roberts didn't say after the game, we had a pitch count of 90 for him, but he said, once he got around 90 pitches, Roberts said to leave him in longer would have been irresponsible, which means they were looking at a max of 90 pitches. And if that's your game plan, there is no reason to throw out a game plan in the 6th inning in a game in July because you want a guy to get 6 innings pitched instead of 5 2/3. He was already in line for the win. Like there would be no reason to throw out your game plan. Yandy Diaz comes up and fouls off a few pitches, and suddenly you make River Ryan throw 98 pitches. That's a lot more than 90. And so if your plan is 90, stick to 90. So I totally agree with that call. And the other one, I think I get why he did it.
Yeah, the only rationally it makes sense what they're doing, and if that's their game plan, that's their game plan. They're going to stick to it. The only irrational thing I have is that, and it's completely irrational, but it's one of those where, okay, they've been handling pitchers a certain way to this point, and there's like 6 or 7 young pitchers on the injured list with different, surgeries or whatever. So not that it's not the right way to handle it, that's the wrong way, not that that's not an anomaly, not that it's whatever, but it's just like, I can see the other side of it from a fan who's watching the game and you're like, well, what's 1 more pitch, or what's 5 more pitches, or what's 10 more pitches going to do? And then you think about it and you're like, they did hold off guys and have pitch counts for the other guys. And, some of them are on their second surgeries, and it sucks. Like it just sucks in general. There's no team that has it figured out. I think the Dodgers are in a case of bad luck right now. And also the type of arms that they usually go after in maybe the draft and signing, the type of guys that type of throwers that they get. I think it's just a string of bad luck, but I can see everything from both sides. And it's one of those where, yeah, it sucks in the grand scheme of things that the results weren't the best after the fact. I do think it's, there's combinations of everything. I don't think it's 100%, Dave Roberts should have done what he did. I don't think it's 100% Dave Roberts shouldn't have done what he did. I think it's just like, sometimes guys come in and don't get the job done. And
yeah, what sucks is that Evan Phillips and Daniel Hudson and Blake Trinan all sucked on Saturday. That's what sucks.
Yeah, and it's you see both sides of, well, if they left their starters in a little bit more, maybe their bullpen wouldn't be as taxed. In this situation specifically, this is really the only time Dave Roberts has had to make decisions of like, all right, do I let a guy go get another out or do I not? And will it, really affect it? In the past few weeks, it's been like, oh, this guy's barely getting through 5. He's at 90 pitches through 5. He's slogging through 5. He's already 3 times through a lineup through 5. Like, there's different situations. And I think this situation was just one of those where, you went to the guys that you count on and it didn't work out. And, if they had let both of those guys stay in, could they have got the third out in less than 5-10 pitches and none of this would have been talked about? Maybe, but they also could have went the other way. And then, you get complaints on the other side. So there's no right or wrong answer. I do think
there's a right answer for sure. It's my answer.
No, I mean, you're not going to, again, without knowing what could happen in the future, I can't say that everything's right or wrong. It's not black or white. It's a gray area, and that's where we're at right now. So,
yep.
All right. Deadline. There's been a lot of guys traded. Some guys that were linked to the Dodgers. None of the big fish, but, let's talk about the deadline and how we don't have to be angry yet, but we can be prepared to be angry if we want to. Today's episode is brought to you by Stitch Fix. That instant confidence boost you get from an outfit that makes you look really good. That's what we get with Stitch Fix, because Stitch Fix gives you a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget. They do all the shopping for you. It's the easiest way to update your wardrobe this season. I'm a simple guy. I'm t-shirts and shorts and hats and, shoes. And that's really what I get down on. But Stitch Fix can help me upgrade just a little bit more with the wardrobe that I do pair my hats and shoes with. So you get a stylist, you give them your size, your style, your budget preferences, and then boxes come to you and you get to decide. They send you 5 things. You get to decide what you want to keep, what you want to send back. And that's really how it works. It's very easy, very simple, and it's some way to get you looking a little bit better if you want for the rest of this summer or heading into the fall. Stitch Fix makes it also easy, because if you don't like to shop, why would you want to shop? Just get it done for you. And, you feel maybe like a little bit like celebrities. Celebrities have personal shoppers, and Stitch Fix can give you a personal shopper as well. So make sure you get the style that makes you feel as you look. Get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids' fixes. Want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. And make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. Make sure to subscribe if you're already someone that listens or watches every day. Maybe you're someone that follows us on Twitter and you see when we're going live. Just subscribe. The subscribe is, a big clue. Maybe sometimes you're not available and you say, oh, if I was subscribed, I would have known that these guys were going live or that an episode was ready or something like that. So make sure to do that. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Dodgers Postcast with Pete Fox is available after most Dodger games on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. All right, Jeff. So the deadline so far has not brought the Dodgers anyone. There's been some rumors, and some of those rumors were quickly dispelled by actual movement. Isaac Paredes got traded to the Cubs after, again, every report comes with a grain of salt. After Bob Nightingale reported that the Dodgers and Yankees were in a bidding war for Paredes, we've seen Other guys get traded. No, Garrett Crochet hasn't been traded. Luis Robert Jr. hasn't get traded. Tariq Skubal, if you believe that might still be a possibility, hasn't been traded. Tanner Scott hasn't been traded. Luis Rengifo hasn't been traded. Nico Horner, who's another guy the Dodgers have been linked to, hasn't been traded. So there's still guys out there. I guess Tommy Pham, Michael Kopech, all those types of guys haven't been traded. But, sitting here on Sunday night, the Dodgers haven't made any moves. We've seen some other teams make some moves. I think I know the answer, but how are you feeling?
Impatient, but still able to read a calendar, I guess. The interesting one to me was Isaac Paredes, because there were the reports saying the Dodgers were in a bidding war for him, but then Juan Toribio says the Dodgers had checked in on him, but were never that interested. Which, if that's true, that the Dodgers weren't very interested in Isaac Paredes, it makes me wonder, okay, well, what's their plan? Because, I can guess. And for me, I'm thinking, well, Max Muncy, we don't know if he's going to be back. Isaac Paredes is third baseman, hits well. He makes sense. But if they weren't even that interested in him, was there a reason for that? So really, all I have is more questions right now of, okay, what is their plan? Because really, Arozarena, would have loved to have Arozarena, would have loved to have Isaac Paredes. Maybe the Rays won't trade with the Dodgers. I don't know. The Rays and Dodgers have traded in the past, but maybe they don't want to trade with each other, or maybe Isaac Paredes and Randy Arozarena weren't as high on Andrew Friedman and Brandon Gomes' wish list as they were on my wish list. And so really, I'm just kind of intrigued by what is going to happen in the next couple of days, because besides those two guys, there's still plenty of guys I would like to have who haven't been traded yet.
Yeah. And, we said it on here before, we'll probably say it again. If nothing happens or nothing major happens and we sit here on the episode after the Padre game on Tuesday and there was no major trades or anything like that, I don't think it'll be a happy, fun episode. It can definitely be a lot more questions. And, those questions can always come down to, whatever it is, it's obviously going to depend on who else gets traded at the deadline and who doesn't get traded and what happens. But I do think for us as fans and people that are, on Twitter and reading all the reports from all the different reporters and all that type of stuff, it's hard not to see stuff and then, get upset. But like you said, with Paredes, bidding war between Yankees, Dodgers, you think the Dodgers could probably win that. And then the Cubs come out of nowhere and trade for him. And then you see a report from a beat writer that said they checked in on him, but it wasn't really that deep. So you're like, okay, well, who's telling the truth? Two, maybe they weren't. It's not a matter of, the Dodgers could have beat that package or the Dodgers could have done that or any of that. It's a matter of, well, the Dodgers weren't even really in it. Like, we don't know. And it's hard to speak with certainty about anything around the trade deadline because we're not there. We don't know. We have no insight other than what's reported by people that aren't the Dodgers, aren't Andrew Friedman, aren't Brandon Gomes. So, yeah, it's easy to kind of get caught up in that hoopla. And, Arozarena, does he make 100% sense for the Dodgers? Probably not 100%. He made some sense, but, realistically, the Dodgers kind of need someone who can play center field and someone that maybe has been hitting all season. Not that mattered because, someone could get traded and all of a sudden hit 500 the rest of the season. We don't really know. So it's hard to not get caught up in that. But, yeah, until it's like Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time and the Dodgers haven't done anything, I won't, or maybe 3:30, some trades kind of trickle in a little bit later. But until then, I'm not going to get too upset. But it's not a matter of I'm not going to get upset at all. It's a matter of it'll be upsetting if it's 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday and the Dodgers are still going to send out Kevin Biggio to maybe start that game later that night. Other for the fact of the guys aren't in town yet because they have to catch flights.
Yeah, there's current reports that the Dodgers are still heavily in on Garrett Crochet. Don't know if that includes Luis Robert. There's reports that they're maybe in on Tommy Edman from the Cardinals, which is a name we haven't said. And, there's been times if Tommy Edman can hit for the Dodgers as well as he hits against the Dodgers, that would be awesome. If Tommy Edman's the biggest deal they make, I'll probably count this trade deadline as a disappointment. But the fact is, like you said, we're still 40 42 hours away from the trade deadline, something like that. So, it's frustrating and irritating that other teams are doing things and the Dodgers aren't. But if you look at the names that have moved and the names that haven't moved yet, there's still plenty of time for the Dodgers to do things. And if you look at the teams that are filling holes, like it maybe increases the chances of the Dodgers getting some of the people we want them to get because other teams have gone other directions. So, the one big remaining question is there any chance that the Angels will deal with the Dodgers? Because there was reports that Luis Rengifo and Taylor Ward are both on the trading block. Both of those guys could be interesting for the Dodgers. So, yeah, it's still a wait and see game. The crazy thing is the Dodgers don't play again before the trade deadline because they have Monday off and then play on Tuesday evening, a couple hours after the trade deadline. So all we have to talk about is the trade deadline and apparently Dave Roberts.
Yeah. So the other part is like, when it comes to prospects and everything else, it's a matter of just because you can, like, if they would have added one more player, then they could have got this guy. Yeah, but you're setting precedents that you maybe don't want to set. It's the same reason why, hometown discounts for players aren't necessarily the best thing for the players union because they don't want guys to take. You're always going to try to get more than what you have, and you kind of want to set the precedent. And that's why arbitration and all that stuff. There's precedents, and the numbers go up based on certain things. If it's one of those where the Dodgers could have beat that. Well, we don't know if the Dodgers have that conversation. Two, we don't know if that team was even interested in the prospects that the Dodgers have. If the Dodgers have a bunch of prospects that are outfielders or starting pitchers or whatever the case, and this team's looking for infielders, and maybe the package was, the Dodgers could have beat that based on whatever rankings you look at. Well, it's like, maybe that team was looking for a specific type of hitter, a specific type of position or whatever the case is. Like, we don't know. And it's still going to suck at the end of it if the Dodgers don't make a big move. But it's also, one of those where like, I don't know. I really don't know because we weren't there.
Yeah, it will suck. We will be frustrated if they don't make any moves. And then we'll probably be talking about, in 2021, it was freaking Eddie Rosario who made the difference for the Braves, and he was not a big move at the trade deadline. We talked about that, but I'm not going to start yet making excuses for the Dodgers not doing anything because I still think they need to, and I still hope they will over the next 42 hours.
Yeah, as long as we don't have to justify Ryan Yarbrough again and Lance Lynn, then it's top that and it'll be a good start, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. There was some good stuff this weekend though, so let's get into what's been positive. Make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. If you need help with an order, get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. If you are not an everydayer, you can become one by listening or watching every day. Find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, and any Dodger fan in your life, if they want to be happy, if they want to have frustrations, if they want to just talk about Dodgers, we're here for them at Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. Get text directly from us for any breaking news, rumors, thoughts, weekends are hard to keep up with, but we did a little bit, and we'll definitely be ready for you guys the next 2 days. And you can text directly with us if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, and go about it that way. So make sure to go to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. All right, Jeff. We talked about Rick Ryan and Justin Wrobleski in the sense of the decision made to take him out of the game, but we didn't talk about them in the sense of they were really good against a Astros team that has some really good hitters and have been playing pretty well as of late. And, Dave Roberts after the game said River Ryan will get another start for the Dodgers. Well, yeah, for the Dodgers at the very least, I would imagine. He's not going anywhere, even if the Dodgers do make a trade. So, yeah, I guess it's one of those. We're not going to talk about if they don't get in with the deadline and these guys end up being somebody that they need in the second half of or rest of the season. But, what do you like from these guys that we've seen so far?
Yeah, I was really excited about River Ryan on Sunday because he added the strikeouts. And after his first start, we talked about how you could tell that there was some adjustment he needed to make from coming from the minor league to the big leagues. And it seemed like he honed in the command on his off-speed pitches on Sunday and was able to make pitches that would get big league hitters out, which, Justin Wrobleski still, he only had 2 strikeouts in his start on Saturday. And the Astros are a very low strikeout team. So, 5 2/3 innings, no runs allowed while he was on the mound is awesome, even with only 2 strikeouts. But I guess I was a little more excited about River Ryan because he started adding the strikeouts, because I do think that is more of an indicator of the near future success. I think that's something Wrobleski still needs to figure out, is how to get a little bit more swing and miss against big league hitters.
Yeah, it's one of those where Wrobleski's been kind of getting by on fastballs mostly, and you can't necessarily tell if the plan is to be up in the zone as often as he is, or that's just a product of maybe a little bit of off command. But it's been effective to a certain extent. And the real issue he's had when he does allow runs has been home runs, usually because he's living probably in the upper half of the plate, and when you miss, you're more likely to miss over the middle of the plate. So but yeah, I mean, for him, it's one of those where whatever they can get from him right now is just kind of gravy. River Ryan's the prospect that could actually help the Dodgers down the stretch and into October, whether it's as a starter, whether it's as a reliever, whether it's as a long reliever, whatever the case is. But he's this guy that has the stuff that can get swing and miss, that can come in situations. And you saw him on Sunday having the big reactions and things that getting hyped up, and not that means anything in the grand scheme of things, but it's one of those where if you can live off adrenaline, that can definitely help you out for a younger guy. So beyond that, on the pitching side, there wasn't maybe too much. I saw a comment here about Brent Honeywell. He picked up another. No, wasn't a save, right?
No, because they scored another run.
He finished out the game. 4-run leads seem like save opportunities for the Dodgers these days sometimes. But he's pitched really well, and we talked a little bit about him last week, and maybe wanting to see him in the role that Ryan Yarbrough has as the long reliever. But maybe Honeywell ends up being a piece for the Dodgers. They've already had Anthony Banda catch on and be a guy for the Dodgers, and it's possible, even with Gratterall coming back soon, hopefully Ryan Brazier starting his rehab assignment coming back soon, maybe some potential trades coming in. With Vesia's velocity down, maybe he is gassed, and maybe they will need to kind of adjust the bullpen. And Brent Honeywell is a guy that might be able to stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely earned the right to stick around for a little bit at least. And it's a little bit nerve-wracking. A guy who doesn't, a reliever who doesn't throw hard, your mind immediately goes to guys like Ryan Yarbrough and guys like that. But he seems to have good command. He's got a pitch that people aren't used to seeing, which is always an advantage, and something that maybe wouldn't work for a guy as a starter. But when you're going to face a guy one time in a series, it can definitely get some outs. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Brent Honeywell. I think that's as far as I'm willing to go right now, being cautiously optimistic, just because he doesn't have the traditional things that get you excited about a relief pitcher. But the results have been good, and it's not like he's had a lot of loud contact right at people. Like, the actual results of the at-bats have been pretty promising.
Yeah, and he has a screwball, so that's fun to have. It doesn't mean anything, but having a screwball is kind of fun, and if it's effective, then even a little bit more fun. The rest of the time, Gavin Lux, we've talked about him, but he's continued really hit really well. He hit in the 3 spot the other day. He hit a homer on Sunday. It's been, one of those where you don't really know what to expect yet. Is this Gavin Lux? Is he just on a hot streak right now? Is it, too little too late in terms of the Dodgers, could potentially look for someone at the deadline to kind of play middle infield if they can. I don't know the answers to all that, but I do think I think the approach is what has me thinking it might be, obviously maybe not hitting 350 or whatever he's hitting the last couple of weeks, but the fact that he's going the other way sometimes, going the other way with some power at times, and maybe that swing approach has kind of brought him to where he's at right now.
Yeah, and Gavin Lux was on with Alana and Clint on Dodgers territory last week, and I was a little surprised at how insightful he was. Lux kind of has this persona of the dumb happy guy, and the dude really, really is a thinker when it comes to hitting and when it comes to baseball. And I was really impressed with the insights he had and the thought that he's put into all of this as a hitter. And some of the things he said make a lot of sense. Talking about being aggressive early in counts and then changing your approach with 2 strikes. That's big league hitter thinking right there, because you can't have a 2-strike approach all the time if you want to have any extra base power. Luis Arraez, the reason he's not extremely valuable despite being a super high batting average hitter is because he doesn't hit the ball hard. And so, he gets some singles, but that's it. And for a guy if you want to be more valuable than Luis Arraez, you got to hit the ball hard sometimes. And the time to do that is when you're early in the count and in a hitter's count. If you get in a 2-0 count, you should be trying to hit a double to the gap. You shouldn't be trying to poke a base hit somewhere. You should be trying to drive the ball on a 2-0 count. Things like that, Gavin Lux seems to be really taking in and internalizing, and then the 2-strike approach where he is then changing. That's something that, we're not seeing from some of the Dodgers hitters, and some guys just don't have that capability. There are some guys who get to the big leagues on certain skills, and changing your approach to hit with 2 strikes just isn't one of those skills. I'm not convinced Andy Paredes will ever be a good 2-strike hitter. I don't know that he has that skill. Chris Taylor has 1 swing. It's going to be the swing, and when it hits the ball, it's going to be good, and when it doesn't, it's not. But Gavin Lux, I think, has enough skill and talent and bat control to actually do that. And, if that's the case, he's not going to bat 350. But like I've said before, most of 2022, he was a very, very good hitter. And I see no reason why he can't be that for the rest of this season and beyond.
Yeah. So we shall see. But it does seem, if Lux can just be a league average hitter the rest of the way, that significantly improves the Dodgers lineup. And if he can be an above average, hitter, then obviously that helps out even more so. So we will hope and see that Lux continues to do this. There's a lot more to get into, but we're down to it. Jeff, was there anything else that stood out or you want to mention real quick?
Hey, luckily, like we said, no game tomorrow. So we got plenty of time to get into it. Hopefully get into some trades too, but there's so much more to talk about from this weekend for sure.
Yeah. We mentioned it in passing, but Freddie Freeman did leave the team. He was there with them in Houston on Friday, then ended up going back to LA to be with his, son and family. Not sure entirely. I don't think there's been any updates, but we can, just send, any prayers, positivity or whatever you feel like, sending the Freeman family way. And, Freddie did. We didn't even get to mention Hunter Fiducia got called up, and because of Freddie, he hasn't gotten any bats yet, right?
No.
Yeah. So there's still things to get into, but definitely, want to shout out to the Freeman family and hope that everything's okay, not just to get Freddie back, but for their sake. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to be coming every day or by listening or watching every day. You can subscribe and get notified when episodes are ready or when we're going live. There might be some, lives or episodes running if the Dodgers make any big trades. So make sure to stick around, these next couple of days and really pay attention. Subscribing would greatly help that on your end. You can go be on the podcast, come a Locked On Dodgers Insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Get text directly from us with any news, thoughts, rumors, etc. And you can also text us or text us back and have conversations about the Dodgers. If you would like to do that, you can go to YouTube and check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, two 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. Locked On Dodgers Postcast with host Pete Fox is available on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel after most Dodger games. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent's91. DM us with any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, text my device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.